Hello and welcome to another tutorial from CamiPaige Boutique. I'm Brooke Tannehill and today I'm going to show you how I made this Christmas printed vinyl glitter swirl tumbler. Some of you probably have seen my previous take on this technique, but I wanted to up-level it for this holiday season. As always, all the products I used will be listed in the description box below, and you may even find a coupon code or two that saves you some coin. Also, come join our exclusive Facebook group where you can take advantage of upcoming freebies and giveaways that you aren't going to want to miss. So without further hesitation, let's go ahead and get started. For this design, I am using a 30-ounce straight no taper from AB Design Co. and I am going to grab my ultimate decal guide from CamiPaige Boutique and make a straight vertical line on my tumbler. This is going to work as my guide for applying my vinyl wrap that you see here. So this is from AB Design Co. It is a super cute Christmas tree leopard print pattern, and I'm just going to cut about an inch off the backing of this vinyl. Then I'm going to use that straight edge and line it up with that guide that we made with our marker on the tumbler. Here, what you're going to see is I'm going to struggle a little bit. I'm kind of always on the struggle bus, but you really want to make sure that this vinyl is applied without any bubbles, without wrinkles, and as straight as possible on the cup. And the reason why that's important is because this section right here really determines whether or not you're set up for success or not. So this is where I spend most of my time making sure I'm really happy with how that first section is adhered to the cup. And then once I'm happy, I'm just going to lift up the bottom edge of that backing, and I'm going to just gently start to push the vinyl off that backing and turn my cup. So you can see there how the backing's coming off as I'm turning the cup. And here I'm using the squeegee from AB Design Co. and it's amazing. I use this all the time, and it's got a felt tip on it that really allows me to kind of push the vinyl off and not worry about scratching it or maybe getting bubbles or holes in any of the vinyl. Once I come to the end, I'm just going to cut off any of that excess as straight as possible. Really make sure that I'm taking my time to push down the edges, and then I'm just going to use my Exacto knife to cut as straight of a line as possible. Like, big caveat, I don't cut straight lines, but I'm going to try. I'm going to make a really good attempt. But I'm just going to cut off any of that excess and just remove it so that I get the vinyl to lay down as straight as possible on this tumbler, and then we're ready to move into the next steps of this cup. Once I'm happy with that seam, I'm just going to push the vinyl over the edge of my tumbler, and this is the top rim, and then I'm just going to use my Exacto knife to just cut off any of that excess. Now, the reason why I do this is because I am going to be using the vinyl trimmer from CamiPaige Boutique, but I'm doing this so that when I put the tumbler on the vinyl trimmer, everything is even and you're not getting kind of any wobbles that would make the line not cut straight. So after I cut off that excess, I'm gonna grab my vinyl cutter like you see here. I'm gonna start off with the bottom rim and just remove that tiny little sliver that was left at the bottom of the tumbler. And then I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing. Now for the top rim, I like to use the half spacer because it gets the cut of the vinyl as close to the rim as possible. I just forgot to do so, so this is just that first level, which works perfectly for the bottom, but it just gives that nice little bit of stainless steel at the top of the cup. Now it is time for the swirl. So I am using 1.5 inch painter's tape, and what I'm doing is I'm laying down the kind of guide for my swirl. Now, I really like it when my swirl ends and begins in the same point. So you can see here that the end point of my tape lines up perfectly with the top point of my tape. So that's how I prefer to do it, but do your swirl however you please. So then I'm gonna make sure that that blue tape is really nice and pushed down. And then I'm going to come in with my 3/4 inch tape. So you can see here, I'm butting it up right against my blue tape. Now, the reason why this is important, and I know I've gotten a lot of questions and I've even been giving a couple of my friends some crap when they've been doing this technique live, is it's important to lay down the pieces next to the blue painter's tape that's got the writing on it, is because it's going to serve as your guide and it's going to work out really nicely when you're applying your glitter and your paint. So sorry about that, I had a complete brain fart. So then I did come in with the inch painter's tape next to that 1.5 inch that I promise it will make sense, just because I wanted a little more spacing for the part where I told you I was going to up level this design. So in the previous tutorial, I had only done the 3/4 inch on both sides of the swirl, but for this one, I wanted to make it a little more special. So this is 1/2 inch tape. So it's a little bit thinner than the other ones that we've used. And I want to do 3 stripes next to that swirl. So I wanted the spacing to be a little bit bigger, so that's why I started with the inch tape. But now what I'm doing is I'm laying down the guides for those 3 stripes. So I came in first with that first red stripe, then the next one is a spacer, so we're going to leave that there. And here I'm laying down that middle stripe. So this will be where we see our glitter, and spoiler alert, this will be the pink color that you will see in these stripes. But now I'm going to come in and I am going to lay down another spacer. So this is just to make sure that I get the spacing of my stripes perfectly lined up. And then I'm going to come in with another 2 stripes. Yes, 2 stripes, because the stripe next to this one will be the one that we'll remove, and this will be a black stripe. But then you also want to make sure that you have an extra piece of tape on the outside of that, so you don't get any kind of glitter or paint on your vinyl, because especially with this white design, it will show. So here I'm laying down the actual stripe like I had just mentioned. I know this looks cumbersome and like it's really time consuming, but Nick really didn't even speed this up for this part of the video because it goes a lot faster than you might think. So just kind of lay this down and then come in and do your final stripe that you will see me start here in a minute. So here you can see that I'm going to come in with that painter's tape just to make sure that I've got everything nice and covered for when we apply our paint and glitters. After I had laid the tape down, I decided that I wanted to make that first swirl wider. So I just left the white tape that we had put down there, and that's actually going to be part of that bigger swirl that we're starting, and I will show you why here in a little bit. So I just came in with the inch tape and added another section there just to kind of make sure that we have plenty of coverage of that vinyl. And then now is the fun part. I really find this the most satisfying part of these tumblers, and it's not hard. I really want you guys to know these are not hard, but they are so cute and so easy, and you can really pump them out super fast. But all I'm doing is I am following the kind of template that we've created with the tape and using a super sharp Exacto knife to just run my knife down through the tape and through the printed vinyl, and then we're going to be removing these sections because we're going to make them all beautimous with vinyl and, or not vinyl, with paint and glitter. So there I'm just removing that first section, and you saw that I went on the outside of that white tape that we had originally laid down. So you'll see me pull it right here. And the reason why we did this is because I actually wanted to use a do a different stripe in the middle of this one, and I promise it will make sense in a little bit. But I'm going to remove that first section of the printed vinyl, and then it is time to do our smaller little stripes that we will be adding as well. So I'm going to be using that blue tape as my guide between the red, and I'm just going to be slowly turning the cup and pushing down and using that tape as my guide, and then I will remove that section. So I do it on the left hand side of the tape. Now I'm going to be doing it on the right. And again, I cannot emphasize this enough. This is a super easy step. Don't be scared of it. Don't feel like you can't do this. You absolutely can. So cut it on both sides, and then it's time to remove the printed vinyl. So I'm just going to pull it up, and it just comes off just like that. Then I'm just going to continue this on the other side of that spacer that we had laid down. So just coming through, pushing, and you guys can see this goes really quickly, nothing to be intimidated by. And I'm just going to be removing those stripes and continuing until I'm finished. I'm not going to show you guys cutting out more stripes because I think you guys get how I'm going about this technique, but please let me know if you have any questions and I'll be more than happy to help. Now, in my live, I had been asked to share some of my hacks, and actually this is one of my favorite ones. So after I get the stripes applied to the tumbler, like the spacers that we'll be leaving there, I like to use my vinyl cutter and remove the excess tape. So that way I'm getting nice crisp lines on the bottom of my tumbler, and it allows me to kind of be set up for success when I apply the glitter to the bottom of this cup. So I just give it like a quick little spin on the vinyl cutter and remove it, and then it was time to start painting and applying our glitter. I'm gonna first start with painting that larger section. So this is Sand Dunes from Miss Lillian's No X Chalk Paint. I think I have the name of that right, but I am just going to apply a nice layer of that paint to that middle section. I'm sorry you guys can't see that better, but I promise it's just painting that center section. But I'm gonna do that first coat, dry it with my heat gun, and then I'm going to come in with a second coat, but on the second coat, I'm going to actually be mixing the paint with glitter glue from Artistry Epoxy. If you guys have not tried the glitter glue, I cannot recommend it enough. I absolutely love the stuff. It is just like the epoxy method for applying glitter, but it dries a lot faster. So I've really switched over to using it, and it doesn't dry nearly as fast as Mod Podge, so you do have a longer working time. So I really do love this stuff. So after that first coat of paint is dry, here I'm just mixing the paint with the glitter glue, and then I am just coming in that middle section and applying the paint and glitter glue mixture over that. Now, pay attention and make sure that you're really looking at the corners of this design. I am notorious for mixing the corners or missing the corners, and then when I apply the glitter, it's just like there's nothing there. So pay attention to the corners. I do not worry about the butt of the cup at this point. I actually like to do a coat of epoxy over the stripes first before I move into the bottom, but that is personal preference. If you want to do the butt, by all means go ahead, but I'm just going to paint this section, and then I am going to come in with Athena from Peachy Olive Glitters. I love this gold. I feel like I'm using it on everything this Christmas season, but it's such a good gold mix. I absolutely love it. So you don't have to worry about holding back or trying to lightly sprinkle. Let her rip, tater chip, and just cover that whole middle section. And then that section will be dry in probably about 45 minutes. And then I like to pull my tape even before it dries so that I don't have to worry about possibly lifting up any of that paint or glitter in that section. Now you will notice that when I pull this second piece of tape, it is next to the other stripes that we are getting ready to put down, but I will explain what we do to accomplish that look in the next part of this video. So here, since we have all the spacing that we want between our stripes, we're just going to lay down this 3/4 inch tape on the outside of that outermost stripe that we'll be laying down. Now, I did spray seal this gold glitter twice before I moved into this step. While it's not a coat of epoxy, I did want to make sure that it was coated as well as possible before kind of laying it down in the cup cradle or moving on to painting this next section. So the first two stripes that we are going to be doing on this tumbler are going to be black. For this reason, and since they're so dark, I only did one coat of paint and glitter glue. I really think I should have done a coat of black paint first and then did this step, but I don't know, I think I was feeling adventurous this day, but I just have a nice, like, smaller makeup brush that I'm painting on these stripes with. So I'm just gonna come in, make sure that I've got nice, even coverage. And then once I'm happy with that, I'm going to come in with Batman from Peachy Olive Glitters. You can see it there. I kind of showed it just for a split second. And then really just sprinkle that glitter into that section of this cup. So, I didn't want to do both stripes at the same time because I didn't want to take a chance of like the paint and glitter glue drying. So I just wanted to do one stripe at a time. And then I have my chip brush to remove any excess that might be hanging around, because black glitter likes to stick to everything and show itself when you don't want it to. So there's the chip brush. Highly recommend that step. Now we're just going to complete the second stripe. So I'm just going to come in here again with the paint and glitter glue mixture and apply a nice healthy coat in that last stripe. So once that's applied, we're going to come in with Batman and just finish off this wonderful stripe. Now, one thing that I learned the hard way is I decided to pull the tape too late. Like on the previous stripe, I just kind of pulled it as soon as I was done glittering. I waited too long on this, and I ended up pulling up some of the paint and glitter, and it just was not cute. So what you really want to do is, as soon as you have it covered the way you like, pull the tape and then worry about getting the glitter off of the cup. I waited probably like 2 hours and then I pulled it, and it just completely messed it up. So here I am reapplying the tape, even though I had to do another coat of glitter and paint on the black stripes, but I'm just gonna come back in with the red tape that we used initially and just make sure that I'm protecting that vinyl as we come in with our third glitter color. So just take your time. It's not as hard as you might think to apply the tape back once it's already been lifted, but just use the guides of the outer stripe and then where we've cut off the printed vinyl, and it goes pretty quick. For the stripe, I'm just using a red folk art paint. It's nothing, I think I got it at like either Walmart or Michael's, but I'm just mixing up a little red paint and some glitter glue to apply our middle section stripe. So I'm just mixing it up pretty quick. And then I'm coming in with this paint just to finish off this section. So with the red, I did not need the 2 coats. Actually, it covered really well. And I think it's also because I'm gonna be using a metallic glitter that it really just coated wonderfully, and it really came out nice and beautiful with the glitter. So once that's coated the way that we like it, I'm going to be using Crue from Peachy Yellow Glitters. And even though I painted a red base, this is a really pretty dark rose gold. I think it's kind of the best way to explain it. It's almost like a maroon rose gold. It's so pretty, and I think it's very highly underrated. So I'm just going to do that. And look, I learned my lesson. I'm going to pull the tape immediately and then let that dry and spray seal those stripes probably about 2 or 3 times. After that spray seal is dry, I'm going to do a coat of epoxy, and then I wanted to do that extra special thing that I had mentioned earlier in the video. What I decided to do is I wanted to add a stripe of that Crue in the middle of this gold, especially since we made it wider than I'd originally kind of planned. I thought bringing that pink would be super cute in the gold stripe. So what I did is I started with the 3/4 inch tape on both sides, like the outer sides of that gold stripe. So using the gold stripe as my template, I'm just going to come in and just move the tape down that stripe to use it as a guide. So what this does is it allows me to see where I should come in with that stripe, but it wasn't thin enough for me. So what I did is I taped off half of the 3/4 inch tape that you can see there with the black tape. So the black tape was like half on the white tape, half on the gold glitter. And that really gave me the template and the guide for the section that I wanted. So there you can see the black tape is over half of the white tape just there, even though I'm out of like frame, and I apologize, but you can see I'm just covering half of that white tape, and it's creating this awesome nice section for me to add the pink Crue glitter into this tumbler. So just like we did before, and I am live at this time, so that's why I'm out of frame, so it's a little bit hard. I had just gotten some feedback that it was hard to see what I was doing, and I completely agree when I was live, so I am filming overhead at the same time. So just like we did before, I'm just going to mix up the red paint with the glitter glue, and I'm just gonna go right over the top of that gold glitter that we had laid down. So not holding back, you don't have to worry about being really gentle. Just make sure that that black tape that you see there, or whatever tape you're using, is really pressed down nicely, because otherwise you are going to get the paint underneath your tape. So that's the only kind of watch out, but I'm just going to paint this section, make sure I've got really great coverage, and then again, I'm gonna come in with the Crue and just cover that stripe and pull the tape as soon as I am happy with that coverage. I spray sealed this cup twice with Rust-Oleum clear gloss spray paint, let that fully dry, and then I went in with 2 coats of Artistry's 1:1 fast set, and then it was time to pinstripe this cup. So I am using nail tape, and on the black stripes and the gold, I am using a wider gold nail tape. Now here you can see the rose gold. I actually changed my mind here in a second, and I switched to gold for the black, as you can see here, but I just really liked kind of the holographic of this gold, and I think it really set off the black. And then I will use a coppery rose gold, which is a little bit thinner, for the 2 pink stripes on this cup. Once I get this all applied, like you can see here, and the best way to do this is to kind of hold the nail tape out probably about 6 inches, and you can see I'm just going to roll the tumbler. So I hold the nail tape pretty taut, and then I roll the tumbler and just adjust the nail tape to get it placed the the way I want it. Once I was happy with all of that, I sealed the nail tape with Quick Seal from Artistry Epoxy. Once that was dry for about 2 hours, I finished this tumbler off with 2 final coats of Artistry's 1-to-1 fast set. It was about 15 milliliters each time, and then this baby was done. I love how this tumbler turned out, and I hope you guys like the Christmas edition of the glitter swirl technique. I hope this tutorial inspires you, and I can't wait to see what you create. If you have any questions about any of the steps or information, please feel free to reach out and I'll be more than happy to help. As always, thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me. If you liked this tutorial, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see future videos. You can also ring the bell so you're notified of all future cup making goodies. Thank you again. Love you guys. Bye.